Thank you for joining us today. We are going to go over the Test and Fix Water for Kids next steps process associated with results and what to do when you receive them, all the way through taking action and receiving reimbursement if applicable to your facilities. We will be covering the process from receiving results to final reporting. We will focus on the what ifs, or the potential situation if you receive results greater than 4.5 parts per billion. We will look at next steps on how to interpret the results. We will talk about collecting the flush sample. We will go over those instructions and that process. From there, once you collect your flush samples, you can start to create the remediation plan, which is required under HB 22-1358. We'll go over the approval process that will then lead to allowing you to make those fixes, taking a confirmation sample to make sure those fixes successfully reduced your lead levels, and then the final step of giving us your invoices and reporting your final costs for us to approve for reimbursement, and then final reporting to check you off as completing the process of this program for your facility. It seems like a lot of steps, but we'll walk you through them today, and we are here to help you through the process. Once you receive your notification results, that initiates the next step of needing to report results to parents and staff. Again, we'll go over what happens if you have results of 4.5 parts per billion or greater, but let's talk about the results first. The first step, once you have collected your samples and sent them back to the lab, is to prepare to share results that are sent to you. Results are automatically reported via email. So who we have in our database as the sampling coordinator and the primary contact for the school district, those individuals will receive the email. The email will have within it a template that summarizes the results and has a lot of information, more information about lead, why it is important to test, and all other language required under the House bill in the text. Here is our template for your results letter that is available online. You can see it summarizes your results and has the required information you need to share with parents and staff. Please let us know if you need help with your communications team to prepare for results. Once you receive the results, you must share them with parents and staff within 2 business days. Again, the notice has the language required under the House bill. Facilities are welcome to add an introduction letter to show the success of the program and your commitment to public health. You can share information on specific locations on results that were high. For example, if it were a classroom faucet that has been in a room that was closed for a year, you could add that extra information. So you can make it your own, but you do need to retain the information we have provided to stay in compliance with the bill. Now, if you had no action required at any locations because all results came back below 4.5 parts per billion, then no action is required after sharing the letter with parents and staff. Everyone must share the letter if you have results that require action or not. It is a public right to know. You can send this out following whatever method you usually send out notifications to parents and staff. For those who have no exceedances, there is no action required for any of your sample locations. It is great to keep in mind best practices moving forward to reduce lead in drinking water. So if you have results under the 4.5 parts per billion, we will not be able to reimburse for any fixes at these locations. Some best practices. It is always best to use cold water as recommended under EPA guidance for drinking water because warmer water increases the reaction that allows lead to go into your water. So we only consider cold water locations drinking water locations, and it is not recommended to filter warm water. Cleaning. This program is a one-time test, a one-time screening up to May 31st, but we have to keep in mind that plumbing can change with time. So if you are cleaning your aerators, that is a great practice. It is a good idea to set up a schedule to regularly clean your aerators. Aerators are a great way to catch the particulates, but can be a source if some of the particulates have lead in them. Routine flushing is a great practice as well to get the stagnant water out of your plumbing. When we collect the initial samples, they are the worst case scenarios at the beginning of the day, but your flush samples help you understand what is going on downstream in terms of lead. So flushing after long periods of water sitting stagnant in your plumbing can help that water flush out that may have higher concentrations of lead. Communication is a great resource as well, as we have signage available to order at no cost. These are great to post by bathroom sinks where water should not be consumed, especially sinks with fixtures with automatic sensors for hand washing. These motion detection mixed warm and cold water fixtures are not considered a drinking water location. The warm water and timed situation do not allow for that location to be a drinking water source. So this would be a great example of signage being appropriate. Point of use filter. If you use a filter at any point, it needs to be certified to remove lead. However, keep in mind that filters can themselves become a place of lead accumulation when not maintained on an appropriate schedule. So these filter options will need to have a maintenance plan so that you can incorporate that into your annual tasks or when the indicator light goes on, that you replace the filter. Reporting results FAQs. We have heard many questions about sharing results to families and staff. So this can be done in whatever method is normal for you to communicate with your people. So that can be email, through a portal process. Is there a Thursday folder that kiddos take home with updates? Whatever is typical for how you reach out to parents and staff. What if parents want to know what the fixtures are used for? You are welcome to add an introduction to the letter, but keep in mind that your sampling results are linked to your sampling plan. So this is where your sample descriptions being clear for the public are important. If you feel like the parents won't understand your description, feel free to ask us for assistance updating descriptions in the data tool. Another frequently asked question is, what if only a few kids have access to a specific location with an exceedance? If the childcare only has access to this one wing of the school, why are we sharing the whole school's results with the childcare facility parents? It comes back to the public right to know, which means we must notify all the parents and staff who could be affected. Even if they only occasionally access the wing, it is their right to know about the location. The last question is if parents come back to you asking the school to provide blood lead level testing, please reach out to us. We're here to help. But our guidance, stated in the template letter, if parents are concerned about lead exposure, then they should see their primary care provider. But please let us know if you need assistance. We have a toxicology team here who can bring in to answer any questions for you and provide guidance on testing as well. We are happy to review your template letter revisions. We have more resources available if needed, such as follow-up letters to parents. What if the facility has a result greater than or equal to 4.5 parts per billion? So the law states 5 parts per billion. The lab reports values in decimal, so we are interpreting any rounded value to 5 parts per billion. The automatic email with results will identify how many fixtures are exceeding that 4.5 part per billion level. Those fixtures need to be removed from consumptive use as soon as practically possible. This can be disconnecting, bagging, signing, or other ways. Keep in mind non-consumptive actions like hand washing, dishwashing, and sanitation uses can continue. We want to make sure that kids don't drink from the locations, so in some cases, it may be best just to shut it off. Please reach out if you have any concerns about adequate access for drinking and cooking water. It is very important that when you get your results to take a deep breath and wait for us to reach out to you. Do not start ripping out fixtures when you see the results. We need follow-up samples to help us identify the source of lead. We need to collect these flush samples to make sure we make the best decision to fix the location. You will get a kit headed your way if you have any exceedances. It is important to note that this follow-up sample is different than your initial sample method. To start, this is only required at fixtures that tested at 4.5 or greater. The water captured will represent water sitting further downstream in your plumbing and will help us determine the best remedial action. We have instructions that should arrive with your package, and we will send those in a follow-up email once you receive your results. Let's take a look. Now, in general, the flush sampling is under the same conditions. So you will want to plan sampling during the 8 to 18-hour stagnation window. Cold water only. The key difference is step 5. When you go to the faucet, you will turn on the cold water to let it run for 30 seconds with a gentle flow. Not a hard rush of water, but a nice gentle flow. Then collect the water in the bottle. This will help us isolate if it is only the fixture or if it is the plumbing that connects to the fixture. So basically, what is behind the wall? Older fixtures and supply lines, old brass valves, and solder can still contain lead, and so we don't want to leave out those possibilities during this process. So again, the flush samples are only for locations that have a result of 4.5 parts per billion or greater. The water captured in the sample cup after 30 seconds helps us identify the water downstream of the fixture. This will ultimately help us determine the best fix for each location so that you can be one and done. If you start ripping out fixtures before this step, we can't guarantee that this was the best fix and can't offer reimbursement. Flush results are reported when results are released to us. It will be an automatic notification. You are welcome to share that notice with your community, though it may add a little confusion. Our website only shares the initial results and the confirmation results, as these flush sample results are used to help us understand the initial results. But there is not a requirement to share these steps to the confirmation results. Once these flush results are reported, if you have tested every location that you've listed to test and collected every flush result where there needs to be a resolution, then we will generate a remediation form. However, if you have places unresolved with a location listed to test with no result, then the system will not generate a remediation form. If you feel like you should have a remediation form sent and you have not, please contact us so we can see if there is a missing initial or follow-up result in our data preventing the form from generating. Once this approval form is generated, we will review it and send it to you. We will send it to the main sampling coordinator that we have on file. When it is sent, please review the notes we have as guidance on what the best action would be based on your results, and then select the remedial action you desire based on your results. We do have a cost limit per type of remedial action. This cap does include our general expectation for a total for labor and materials. So we have a labor reimbursement for in-house work based on the federal standard for hourly rate plumbers make in your area. So that is how we'll reimburse you for in-house work. However, if you use an outside plumber, let us know what those expected costs would be, and we can review your invoice and determine reimbursement for that. Once you have gathered all of your estimated costs, please input that into our form so you can see your total cost is not exceeded. Now, it is possible to see costs go over the cap, and we can have that conversation. But ideally, we would like to see this cost cap. It is important that you send your W-9 to our secure fiscal email. Please do not email it to Water for Kids. There is a financial email we will share with you. It is understood that districts have a standard W-9, so we may only need to share that once. But if you're a smaller school, you may have a W-9 on a school-by-school basis. Important. Please note your remediation plan will not be generated until all samples are resolved in our database. Think, do you have any samples that still need to be collected? Do we need to delete a sample location because it was not tested? Perhaps it no longer existed? Do your sample descriptions need to be updated? Extra bottles, for example? Here's an example of what the remediation form will look like. We'll need to know your contact information. You'll add the time, and you'll see that we summarize the information for each location that needs remedial action. And using that information, you'll see what we can then select as remedial action. So here we're showing all the options that we have to choose from for remedial action. So you can see here we have replacing a faucet. We would like you to stay within the $500 for expected material cost and labor range. If you need to select replacing supply line and solder, you can see our cap amount there. Aerators, we have guidance on how to replace or clean those aerators if needed. So you'll see all of our options. Again, we just need to know your selected material cost and labor costs to help us understand and make sure we're staying in the budget with funding. And this form serves as your remediation plan, which again is required under the state law. So it is very important that you wait for this form and fill it out so we can review and approve it. You will see, for example, that permanent signage is $0. So signage for drinking, we can ship you signage, and we have a form for you to order. So, really, we are open to discussion with remediation plans. It is not black and white, and it is based on as much information that we can gain on your plumbing and also the results. Replacing the faucet may not always be the best solution. We do have a flow chart on our website that does show the thought process and the questions that we will ask you based on your remediation plan to make sure that we're doing the best and most informed fix that we can. Once we review your selections and approve your selections, we will let you know your plan is approved. That is when you have the okay to start the fixes. Again, this is based on the remediation plan and the budget. Now, if you start work before the approval, we cannot guarantee full reimbursement and we cannot guarantee that the action you have done was the best decision. So again, it is really important to wait for this plan and this approval. We are available to assist you with identifying lead-free materials and other aspects of the remediation process if needed. Please retain all of your documentation and receipts for any repairs made to submit at the end of this for reimbursement. Flowchart slide. We invite you to take a look at this on our website. If your result is less than 4.5 parts per billion, no action is needed. You can work on a 5-year maintenance plan with best practices. If it does come back above 4.5 parts per billion, we'll ask first, is this a location used for drinking? If not, we will give you permanent signage. We will share an online link to order those. If the flush sample is less than 4.5 parts per billion, we will focus on the fixture itself and ask questions like, is this an older faucet? Is it filtered? And other isolating questions. We will provide guidance on that. If the flush sample is greater than 4.5 parts per billion, we are then going to ask not only about the fixture, but the supply line. Do you have older brass fittings or valves older than 2014? If it is that, then we would want to take into consideration replacing the faucet and supply lines. We may ask if you have a lead supply line or other questions to understand your plumbing better to find the best fix. If we find that you have a very persistent lead problem, your flush samples are high, but everything is certified lead free, then we can look at a point of use filter. NSF, ANSI 42 and 53 are required for filters. Now, this is typically our last result. We'd rather find permanent solutions to reimburse you to get the lead out, but in those tricky situations, we can look at a point of use filter. But keep in mind that a maintenance plan is required for those filters so that it does not become a source of lead itself. Once your remediation plan has been approved, we will let you know you are ready to begin your fixes. Please retain all financial records and receipts for reimbursement. Once you have completed your fixes, you will need to collect a confirmation sample. This is required under the law to make sure that the fix we decided on was appropriate and did reduce lead levels. Confirmation kit will be sent your way once the remediation form has been approved. So collect your confirmation sample the same way as your initial sample, the first water that comes out of the fixture after the water has been sitting for 8 to 18 hours in your plumbing. Now, this is a really important piece to keep in mind. We don't want to go over that 18-hour limit, which could be possible because you've had the location off for public safety. But for a confirmation sample, if it hasn't been used at all since your fix, run that fixture the day before so we can see a normal situational use with the 8 to 18-hour timeline, not a sample from a fixture that hasn't been used. So you'll want to let that fixture open with a nice, steady, gentle flow so that we can get the 8 to 18 hour stagnation the next day. Once we have your confirmation results, we will send an invoice form your way for you to report your actual cost. This will look exactly the same as your remediation form, but with your confirmation results. We will send this form for you to fill in your actual costs and then also to send us your invoices to prove that this is what you spent. Submit this form, please, to our secure fiscal team address. They will share that with us so that we can review and let you know if we have any questions. If we don't have any questions, we will let you know it is approved and a reimbursement check will be sent based on your W-9 information provided. Again, it is important to emphasize we won't start your remediation process until we know all of your initial results have been collected. So if we see that one location hasn't sampled for whatever reason, does that mean we need to collect a location or retire it on your sampling plan? Because we can't close out your remediation if there are any locations without a result. It is great to consider final reporting as well. Remember, the letter that goes out to parents and staff has a link included that will take everyone to this public website. It will show all of your initial and confirmation results for each facility. You can choose your district from the drop-down menu to show all results and descriptions. In addition, we are working on a more detailed spreadsheet to share with you for final reporting with more information on all sample locations and results. You can always give us a call or email if you need help with your data. There are a lot of materials and guidance on the website for you, and we invite you to explore it. Contact us for anything you may need. The webpage has been recently updated and has a lot of great information. Lastly, don't forget middle schools. Testing will begin in the fall. We are working hard to complete all elementary schools before we start sampling for middle schools. Look for more information to come at the beginning of the school year. We will reach out in the summer. Thank you so much.